The wild follows a strict order, where only the strongest survive. Animals are divided into two groups, hunters and the hunted. Hunters have sharp teeth, a gift from nature, while the hunted have fast legs to escape danger. But even the fastest legs are useless when surrounded by a pack. This harsh reality is reflected in the world around us, though animals only hunt for survival. The scene shifts to a boy lying on the classroom floor, tears in his eyes. His nose bleeds as he feels worthless. A group of boys stands around him, laughing and telling him to get up. They're the ones who did this to him. Their leader, Galwa, warns him to stand unless he wants more. Instead of repeating himself, he spits on the ground and orders Jungo to lick it. Staring at the spit, Jungo realizes he is nothing more than their source of amusement. As he regrets being alive, Galwa grows impatient and kicks him in the head, slamming him to the ground. He repeats his order, telling him not to delay. Sitting up, Jungo hears Galwa tell him to cooperate, since resisting is pointless. When Jungo mutters a quiet apology, Galwa coldly interrupts, demanding that he bark instead of speaking. Jungo is shocked, but soon realizes he has no choice but to obey. The class erupts in laughter as Jungo starts barking. Panting like a dog, he hears Galwa command him to stop and lick the spit. Clenching the floor in anger, Jungo obeys. Watching him, the students laugh in disgust. In the food chain, Jungo sees himself as prey beneath someone like Galwa, who rules at the top. At that moment, Galwa pulls out an expired milk carton and pours it over Jungo's head as a twisted reward. He asks if it smells bad and orders him to slurp it off the floor. Without hesitation, Jungo obeys. The class watches in silence, relieved that they aren't the ones being bullied. Covered in blood and milk, Jungo wonders why he is the one suffering. Tears in his eyes, he questions why it had to be him. Beyond the torment, he slowly hurts himself, making small cuts on his wrist. He cries, praying for help from anyone, even the devil himself, to escape this nightmare. Somewhere, an unknown being with glowing eyes watches him. After a while, Galwa's friend Lee Kyung-gun slips an arm around him and says he needs to go to an internet cafe but has no money. Despite being part of Galwa's group, he struggles with an inferiority complex. Jungo apologizes, explaining that he already gave all his money to Galwa. This response angers Kyung-gun, who throws Jungo to the ground, knocking over a desk. Mocking him, Kyung-gun asks if Jungo thinks he is too soft to be refused. Panicking, Jungo kneels and promises to give him as much money as he wants. But Kyung-gun kicks him in the face. Grabbing his hair, he smashes his head into the window. Kyung-gun lights a cigarette and watches Jungo's teary face as he begs for forgiveness. Jungo stops crying when Kyung-gun flicks the cigarette at him, commanding him to put it out. Just as he moves to extinguish it with his forearm, Kyung-gun stops him and orders him to use his tongue instead. Shocked, Jungo hesitates, but Kyung-gun asks if he wants another lesson. Realizing he has no choice, Jungo prepares to obey. The unknown being watches, amused. As Jungo picks up the cigarette, he feels like a complete loser. Staring at Kyung-gun, he silently wishes for happiness, for them to leave him alone. As he sticks out his tongue, he curses them for not understanding his pain. Fear grips him as he realizes they should be the ones suffering, not him. As the cigarette touches his tongue, he silently wishes they could feel his pain, even for a moment. To his shock, Kyung-gun suddenly screams in pain, clutching his mouth. Confused, he tries to stop Jungo, asking what just happened. Jungo, unaware of the situation, runs away. Reaching the school's top floor, he realizes he felt nothing when the cigarette touched his tongue. Sitting down, he wonders why Kyung-gun screamed instead of him. Just then, the unknown being emerges from the floor. It greets Jungo with an outstretched hand, asking if he wants to know the reason behind the incident. Scared, Jungo hesitates. The being tells him to relax, assuring him that it is here to help. Jungo looks at it confused and asks if that's true. The being nods, revealing that it was the one who gave him these powers and promises to free him from his suffering. Introducing itself as the archdevil, Mephistopheles, it watches Jungo's reaction. Still frightened, Jungo listens as Mephistopheles asks if he wants to play a game. Jungo, still confused, asks Mephistopheles why he is here. Mephistopheles calmly replies that Jungo was the one who summoned him. The scene shifts to the school's backyard, where Kyunggun smokes a cigarette, lost in thought about what happened with Jungo. He is puzzled by his injury. He was sure he ordered Jungo to burn his tongue, yet Jungo remained unharmed. Frustrated, he throws his cigarette to the ground and crushes it under his shoe, determined to make Jungo pay. Meanwhile, Jungo, still in shock, asks Mephistopheles about his powers. Mephistopheles explains that Jungo has received a special ability. If he harms himself while thinking of someone he despises, that person will feel the pain instead. However, Jungo himself will remain unscathed. But Mephistopheles warns, such power comes at a cost. Jungo is stunned upon hearing this. Mephistopheles reveals the price. Every time Jungo uses his power, he will lose a portion of his own lifespan. Furious, Jungo grabs Mephistopheles, shouting that it isn't fair. Mephistopheles struggles at first, but then stops resisting, calmly stating that Jungo has only two choices: continue suffering without power or embrace it and become a hunter himself. As the weight of his torment floods his mind, Jungo's hatred burns stronger. He swears never to forgive those who hurt him. With unwavering resolve, he accepts the deal. Mephistopheles snaps his fingers, marking Jungo's forearm with a strange symbol. Jungo stares at it, asking what it means. Mephistopheles explains that it is proof of their contract. The more Jungo uses his power, the more the mark will consume his lifespan. He also adds that Jungo will only possess this power for 30 days. Satisfied, Mephistopheles leaves, telling Jungo to use his power however he wishes and to entertain him in the process. As Mephistopheles vanishes into the ground, Jungo gazes at the mark, a wicked chuckle escaping his lips. He eagerly anticipates his revenge on Galwa. The scene shifts to the classroom. Kyunggun grips Jungo's head, ordering him to meet him on the roof at lunch. Before leaving, he warns Jungo that if he doesn't show up, things will only get worse. During lunch, Jungo makes his way to the rooftop, no longer afraid. His newfound power fills him with confidence. Meanwhile, Kyunggun waits, smirking, thinking Jungo would be too scared to come. He spits on the ground before stepping toward Jungo, demanding to know what trick he pulled the day before. Jungo, smirking darkly, replies that Kyunggun got exactly what he deserved. Angered, Kyunggun kicks him in the stomach without hesitation. Jungo crashes to the ground as Kyunggun cracks his knuckles, watching him coldly. Struggling to stand, Jungo watches as Kyunggun rushes toward him, ready to end him. However, before Kyunggun can reach him, Jungo pulls a knife from his pocket and stabs himself in the thigh. Kyunggun suddenly collapses, clutching his own thigh in agony. He looks up, confused, demanding to know what's happening. Jungo grins wickedly, mockingly asking if Kyunggun is in pain. Kyunggun struggles to get up, realizing the pain is real. But, gathering his strength, he charges at Jungo, tackling him to the ground. The impact causes Jungo to drop his knife. Kyunggun straddles him, choking him, reminding him that he is worthless. Just then, Jungo smirks, whispering that Kyunggun is about to be defeated by someone with no value. Kyunggun is caught off guard. Jungo suddenly sticks out his tongue and bites it down hard. Kyunggun screams in pain, clutching his mouth. But Jungo isn't done. He gets up, picks up the knife, and approaches Kyunggun, speaking calmly about how he once believed in hating the sin, not the sinner. Terrified, Kyunggun begs for mercy, his words slurring as he claims he only followed Galwa's orders. But Jungo shows no pity. He uses his power, stabbing himself in the stomach. Kyunggun screams as he feels the pain instead. Junggo doesn't stop. He continues stabbing himself again and again. Unable to endure the agony, Kyunggun's body gives up. He faints, wetting himself in fear. Junggo stands over him, laughing coldly, saying that Kyunggun should have apologized. Just then, Junggo turns as someone gasps. His classmate, Lee Donggo, stands frozen in fear, staring at Junggo, who holds a bloodied knife, while Kyunggun lies unconscious on the ground.